Hello everyone, I am Sachchidanand Gupta and I recently completed my MSc in Applied Chemistry from Amity University, Noida, and I also have completed my BSc in Industrial Chemistry from University of Delhi in the year 2019. I got my schooling from Arunachal Pradesh as my mother and father were posted there as teachers, and I, from since childhood, aspired to be a researcher so that I could contribute to the society. When I got the exposure in the Delhi University as well as Amity University, I thought of pursuing PhD abroad because they offered much more advanced research environments. So through the process, I tried myself to get PhD positions, but I was not able to succeed. So one day I came across profile of Dr. Narendra Parmar on LinkedIn, and when I contacted him, he was more than supportive enough to help me secure a PhD position in a prestigious university, and he also guided me through the application process and made me aware of what and all are needed and required for the process. So the first step towards this was to go through the IELTS exam, the academic module, and score a good band so that I could be eligible for admissions in the universities in the West. So uh, I booked for the IELTS exam 1.5 months back, and I got my results last week, and it was astonishing that I could score more than what I expected for. I got 8.5 bands overall, and all thanks to Dr. Parmar and his motivation throughout the period that I could achieve a better score. And this video is just a glimpse of how I tried to prepare for the IELTS exam and what are the key factors which affect our score in the IELTS exam. I hope it helps all the aspirants who think that they want to pursue IELTS exam, want to pursue PhD abroad, and have to appear for IELTS exam. I'll also attach a link of all the study materials which I had used, and I hope it helps everyone. Thank you. Hello everyone. So this is my IELTS journey for score of 8.5 bands overall in the IELTS academic exam. I appeared for my IELTS exam on the 16th of September, and the speaking test was on 18th of September in New Delhi. So I got 9 bands in listening, reading, and speaking. I could score 8.5 bands. In writing there were 7 bands, and the overall band score was 8.5. So I am making this video just to help all the aspirants who want to score good band in the IELTS exam and are aspiring to pursue PhD from countries abroad, because it is a necessary step to get an admission into a university. So IELTS is an important exam. It is International English Language Testing System, which is divided into two modules, that is General IELTS and Academic IELTS. For admissions and jobs, etc., we are required to give IELTS academic exam. There are four parts of the exam: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. I'll go through all these four parts uh, with for all these four parts in a sequential order, so that you can get an idea of how the exam is, and some basic tips of how to score better grades in the exam. First, the listening part is generally of 40 minutes, and you have 40 questions to answer during the 40 minutes. You'll be played a recording in which there will be people talking about or someone speaking in the monologue, etc. And you'll be asked to write an answer in a provided answer sheet. So there are four sections in total in this listening section, in which you have MCQs, fill in the blanks, labeling, sentence completion, form filling, etc. In these four sections, the first section is usually a normal conversation between two people on the phone. For example, to book an appointment or reserve a table in the restaurant, or hotel booking, or seminar, conference information, etc. And the second section, there is one people who talks over every context of any topic. For example, there is a tour guide who gives you guidelines about how to conduct in a museum, and the places you can visit in the museum. That comes into a section 2. In the section 3, there will be 2 to 4 people talking on an academic setting. In an academic setting means they'll be talking in general about an academic topic like a project, essay, seminar, etc. And it will be generally 2 students and a teacher, or 2 students and 2 teachers discussing about an academic project, or working on a seminar presentations, etc. In section 4, you'll get to hear a monologue, usually a lecture in an academic context again, in which one people will be talking about a certain topic and giving all the history and their views, current developments about a topic. For example, rock music or pop music. It's a part of what is part of how it is divided, etc. So that can come into section 4. Now it is important to know that what are the skills assessed in this section. The skills assessed in this section are understanding the main ideas or specific details of the conversation, to infer opinions and recognize ideas which are being conveyed through that conversation, and to follow a conversation from starting to the end. You need to be at your topmost concentration levels while giving the listening exam. The next is some tips of how to score better grades in the listening exams. So in listening exam, it is necessary that you attempt all the questions, don't miss any point, because there is no negative marking, and you cannot be harmed by attempting all questions. The second thing is watch out for plurals in the answers, because sometimes what happens is we listen a word, for example, chairs, and you listen to chairs, chairs, but you wrote on your answer sheet only chair, and that would result in losing the marks, because spellings, punctuations, and all the grammatical conventions are followed in answering in checking your answers. Next is to prepare to hear a potential answer that is not the actual answer. Now, this point may be confusing, but it is very important, because when we are prepared to hear a potential answer, because when we listen to a conversation, we are able to judge what the people are talking about, and we can easily understand what these people will be is going to say next. So that is an important part, that you can be able to you should be able to understand what a possible answer might be, although it might not be actual answer, but it would help you in saving time. Next is, when asked to complete a sentence in using no more than one words, you should pay notice to the fact that not more than one word is the key here. And when leather coat is the answer, then you should not write it as a coat made up of leather. It is incorrect. There can be many more examples for that. So also this, and focus on what the speaker is saying and not how they say it. There might be different accents in the listening exam. There might be different types of words used, different pressure points and vowels and consonants which the speakers might pronounce differently. But it is important that you don't pay attention to how they are speaking, and but pay attention to what they are speaking. The your concentration is the key in this section. Some other tips are listen to English every day, listen to a varied range of things like podcasts, news announcements, advertisements, documentaries, etc. You should also try to improve your vocabulary that can be done by reading books, uh, reading journals, etc. Identify your weakness. One should always, if you don't know your strength, at least it is important that you should know what your weaknesses are. Because when you are able to identify your weakness, you can work on your weakness and enhance your skills far more easily than when you do not know your weaknesses. And the next point is to write your answers, but not too quickly. Because if you write your answers too quickly, there might be a chance that that answer might be contradicted in the next statement, and you could end up writing the incorrect answer. And the final point is check for silly mistakes, punctuations, apostrophe, spaces, and even the tense forms are important silly mistakes which one can do subconsciously, and it is important that you check for the silly mistakes before completing the answer sheet and giving it back to the invigilator. Next comes the reading section. Reading section is of 60 minutes in which you get 3 sections and 40 questions in total. There can be different question types which include multiple choice, true, false, not given, identifying the views and matching the headings, etc., summarizing, as well as many more question types. So in reading section you usually get different types of text which are non-specialist reading passages taken from magazines, books, journals, and newspapers, academic topics of general interest, and descriptive, argumentative lectures or an essays can be part of the reading section. You'll get 3 parts in the reading section. First one is generally a shorter passage. The second reading section is a medium level, and the difficulty level is the highest in the third section. So you must pay attention to approach the way you read and assess the answers. So in the reading section, you are assessed for the following skills, which are reading the main idea, reading for details, understanding the subtle details, subtle ideas, which are not actually written, uh, which are not optically visible but are contextually understood through the passage. And final is the recognition of opinions presented through the article given or the excerpt of the books, etc., given. So that these are important skills which you need to have while attempting the reading exam. A few tips for reading exams are to learn reading strategies. There are different reading strategies available like skimming, scanning, etc. In scanning, you do go through the passage and look for keywords throughout the passage. In skimming, you go through every passage of the given excerpt and then underline few details and then look to the answer question and then find match the answers. There are different skills, and you should develop your own skills, which is convenient for your own style of reading. Next is develop techniques for different types of IELTS reading questions. Now, this is that there are different types of questions in IELTS exam, like sentence completion or match the headings, not match the following, but match the headings with the match the headings with the passages. You are given a general idea of the passage and you'll have to find the general idea has been conveyed into which paragraph of the given excerpt. For example, there is a paragraph, there is an excerpt of the reading section which has 10 paragraphs, say, numbered A to I, and then you are given 5 general ideas conveyed through in the excerpt, and you'll have to find which idea is conveyed in which paragraph, and that you'll have to match. So these skills are needed, so you'll have to understand exactly what is being conveyed in the paragraph. Finally, it is important to know that there might be some technical or difficult words which you might not know or which are away from general convention of English. So they will be giving those words and their definitions in bracket or a different section within the reading examination. So you do not need to worry about those words, and no extra time is allowed for answer transfer. Like in the speaking section, you could hear the audio for 30 minutes and then 10 minutes to transfer answers from your question paper to the answer sheets. This time you'll have to write the answers fair within the 60 minutes of allotted time, and each question weighs for 1 marks. Some other tips are that you should check for the spellings, keeping the order of the paragraph, questions and answers. You can write on the answer sheet, so you can underline important points which you find necessary or which you think might be helpful in finding answers. Finally, paying attention to the details, crossing out the wrong answers, and choosing your own techniques. Crossing out the wrong answers is very important because when you see that there are 10 options for a given question, but there are only 7 correct. So you'll have to find the 3 incorrect. And when you are able to reduce the 3 incorrect answer, it becomes easier for you to find and match the correct 7 options with the 7 correct headings, etc. So it is important that you cross out the incorrect answer and choose your own technique. Again, choosing your own techniques, scanning, skimming, etc. These techniques should be of your choosing, because you should choose the technique which is best to your fitting, your style, your pace of reading, and not which people say that this is the best technique. You should not go what people say, but you should go with what you feel most comfortable with. The third section of the written test is writing. In the writing section, you have two parts. That is, two tasks are given. For first task, you are asked to spend about 20 minutes, and for the second task, you are asked to spend about 40 minutes. The two types of questions, task 1 and task 2, are in task 1 you are asked to describe a table, chart, graph, illustration, diagram, or a map, etc. And you're asked to spend about 20 minutes and write at least 150 words. 150 words is the lower limit. You could write easily up to 300 words if you wish to, but you should also pay attention to the time limit given, because writing is the most important section of your exam, this IELTS. The second task is to respond to a prompt or asking for an argument, point of view, and expressing your opinions by writing an essay. And they asked you to spend about 40 minutes for this section, and the lower limit, that is minimum word limit, is 250 words. It is also to be paid attention that if yes, so in the writing section, there are two general questions, as you can see. One is to explain a graph and summarize your opinion, views, and trends. The second is to write about an opinion and justify your opinion with some strong supporting statements. In writing section, you must write in a formal style, and you should adhere not to use the informal words like wanna, gonna, I could have, and short verbs or short words, or some acronyms without prior explanation. You should adhere to simple structure. You should answer to the questions directly without any background or without any longer backdrop of the answer. You should stay always above to the minimum word count. And major assessing criteria for the IELTS exam is IELTS writing exam is vocabulary, grammar, the structure of your answer, and your understanding of the topic. These four, as well as coherence. How well are you able to connect your points? How well you are able to express your opinions? These are the points which you should pay attention to. Now, some tips are generally provided for IELTS examination. You should be accurate and write simple things and explain them well for the IELTS writing exam. You should read the question and understand what the question demands you to write. That is the very first and the foremost most important thing of the IELTS exam. Next, you should read what you have written and understand what you have written, and does it match the requirements of the test. The third thing is to write about what you know and not write any hypothetical. For example, you want to write a stat. You should, for example, you want to write a stat of availability of internet to the masses. So you can state that, okay, 65% of, say, Indian population has access to high speed internet. It is a fact, and it is a general view. It's not way too ahead of the actual quantity, and it is not way too below the actual quantity. So it is important that you stay within the limits of the actuality. Like you should not use extravagant numbers which are far from true, but you should write what is relatable and what is acceptable in the general context. There are standard styles of writing the both the tasks, and I have explained the writing task. I'll also attach a booklet of writing examples with the video, and then you can choose your own writing style, which is very important. Like there are different strategies of going through the answer. You can go by expressing one opinion to other. You can go by expressing your own opinion, supporting that opinion, and then negating the other opinions, etc. So there are different style, and you should choose your own writing style, which helps your vocabulary limitations, or which helps your writing speed, etc. So these points are to be noted. And one very important point is that you should not learn the model answers by heart. If at all the examiner finds that your answer is a by heart model, or it is an previously learned answer, there is a very high chance that he might reduce your score from a good high sevens to a good low fives. So that is a point to be noted. The final point is writing clearly and coherently. It is important that you write. It is important that you write coherently. And the final point is use pencil in the writing test. It is my own opinion, because when you use pencil, you are easily able to correct spellings. You are easily able to insert any word if you want to. But when you use pen, if you made a single mistake, you'll have to cut it down, and it makes the answer sheet look dirty. And if you are writing neatly, clearly, legibly, there is high chances that you can score more. Also avoid spelling mistakes, or avoid grammar mistakes, tenses, verb forms, etc. These also result in losing score. So you should pay attention to all those. The final section of the exam is generally speaking. In speaking exam, it is a personalized interview, face-to-face interview, which is recorded. The audio is recorded, not the video, and you have 11 to 14 minutes of the speaking exam, which is conducted in three parts. In section one, the interviewer asks questions about your general day to day life, your lifestyle, the places you live, etc. That lasts for about 4 to 5 minutes. After section 2, you're asked to go on a long run, which is around 3 to 4 minutes, in which you'll be given a cue card, task card with a particular topic and points on which you have to speak. You'll be given a minute to think about the topic, note down some points, jot down important helping bullets, as well as some keywords, and then further 1.5 minute to 2 minutes is given for you to speak on the topic non-stop. It is important. It is the most important section of the speaking exam. And the third section is discussion, which lasts for 4 to 5 minutes, in which you discuss with the examiner the general ideas and your opinions about the topics related to the previous section, that is section 2 of the speaking test. So, in this test, you'll be assessed about few of their skills, like speaking fluently without hesitation, using various vocabulary forms, like using idioms, idiomatic sentences, using phrases, using clauses, using complex and simple sentences all together in a single statement, avoiding grammar mistakes, and pronouncing all the words well so that it is clearly understandable to the examiner. Some tips to successfully ace through the speaking test is to be fluent and liberated. You should not feel nervous about the speaking test. You should consider it as you have met a person on a coffee shop, and he wants to know some things about you, and you are free enough to talk to him about yourself and express your own opinions about a certain topic. So there is nothing to be worried about with the speaking test, because it is not an actual interview. It's just a conversation between two people. Practice answering sample questions. This is one important thing, that you should answer sample questions, because generally in the section 1 and 2, some questions might be same again and again. So if you already know what those questions might be, you can easily answer those questions, and you might get confident after that point forward, answering more questions. Ask questions again if needed. If the interviewer asks you a question and you are not able to understand that question, if you are not clearly able to understand what he spoke about, then it is not wrong of you to ask him to clarify the questions, because it is also a part of your speaking skills to ask for clarification when needed. And you should not refrain from showing your emotions about a certain topic. If it is related to you or related to your family and you have some emotional background, you should be free. You should not refrain yourself from sharing it sharing it, because it will not only increase the weight of your answer but also improve the ability to get a chance to score better marks. Next is, you should always try to extend your speech in the parts 2 and 3 of the speaking test, because there, that is the section where your most of your vocabulary and most of your skills are being assessed. And next point is giving yourself time to think. Giving yourself time to think, I have written 2 times. That's because it is most important point of the speaking test. You should always take time to think about the answers which you are going to speak. For example, you are asked to say about your favorite activity in the evening, and you promptly said, okay, I would like to watch TV. But is that the right answer for the question? Do you actually like to watch TV? And then you'll be stuck about that. And after a while, speaking 5, 10 words, you'll be stuck, and you'll be hesitant. You'll be those sounds will come, and you'll be mumbling something, and you'll not be able to support your answer confidently, and you might lose scores. So give yourself time to think. For example, if you want the examiner to give you some time to think, you can say, "Let me think. Okay, this is an interesting question. I would try to recall it." For example, when the examiner asks, "What's your favorite book in your childhood?" Uh, so you can rephrase the question. You can say, "Let me see. What book did I like to read in my childhood? I think Alice in the Wonderland was the book which I loved to read during my childhood." Like this, you should extend your speech. You'll That will not only give you more time to think about your answers, but also gives weight to your answers. Now, making a good first impressions is necessary. Always greet the examiner with a smile, and go well dressed into the test, because these things, your outer outlook, your conduct during the test also improve your chances of getting a better score. So these are all the 4 sections of the IELTS test described, and I have tried to share all the tips and tricks to help you score better bands in the IELTS exam. And I hope this helps every one of you. And thank you everyone for uh, and I also thank Dr. Parmar for giving me an opportunity to share my ideas and views about IELTS exam, so that that could reach into the masses, and uh, people could get benefited from my success, and work hard to get their own, achieve their own better scores. Thank you everyone. Thank you.